Let's turn our attention to animals now, and more specifically their welfare in zoos across Europe. The UK-based charity Born Free is particularly concerned with elephants in captivity. It wants the keeping and breeding of elephants to be ended immediately. Well, let's hear more from Chris Lewis. He's Captivity Research Officer at Born Free. Well, thanks for taking time to speak to us here on the programme. Let me begin by asking you, how many elephants are currently in zoos in Europe, and under what conditions are they being kept in?
So currently there are 580 elephants kept in zoos across Europe, and we feel that captive environment is not a suitable place for these animals. Our report released today highlights the history and continuing plight of elephants kept in captivity and the impact captivity has on the physical and psychological welfare on these animals. That includes a reduced life expectancy. Captive-born individuals generally only live half as long as their wild counterparts, and also an increased infant mortality as well. We're talking of an infant mortality rate of around 40%. So captivity really is not an environment where these incredibly intelligent and socially complex animals should be.
So are there no conservation benefits at all then to keeping these elephants in captivity?
Sadly not, no. Zoos will say there are, but really zoos are a net consumer of elephants. Far more elephants have been taken from the wild to be housed in zoos that have ever been returned. Next to no elephants have been returned to the wild from zoos. And what this has, it has an impact on those wild populations because the captive population is unsustainable. So zoos are continuing to have to take elephants from the wild. Only recently, in March this year, 22 elephants were exported from Namibia to actually be exported to zoos in the United Arab Emirates.
Made some compelling and convincing arguments, no doubt, for some there. For the people who are convinced of what you're saying, what can they do to help? How can people make a difference?
The best way is to not visit these zoos, but also to write to your MPs or policy or legislative makers as well, and demand change, and also highlight the evidence here that elephants are suffering in captivity. There's no conservation benefit for these elephants being there, and it's time to humanely bring this practice to an end. So it needs to result in an immediate stop to breeding and also an immediate stop to importation of these animals. The remaining animals which are still in captivity, we need to look at humane ways of how they can live out the remainder of their lives, and whether that is to move them to available sanctuaries or to consolidate elephants into the best facilities possible to make sure that these elephants are provided with the best possible care for the remainder of their lives.